So for the history wall, we already did 0 AD to 100, but let's continue it for you from 100 to 200 AD. So as I mentioned in my video on Mary the Jewess, the first century, a lot of what I have is about Rome. Because here, Emperor Trajan takes Rome to its largest expansion of territory of its entire existence, which is funny because just 50 years later, they celebrate their 900-year anniversary. So Rome took 850 years to get to its peak in terms of territory. There's also the histories of Tacitus during this time. In terms of invention, Claudius Ptolemy founds the discipline of cartography and making maps. And here, Ptolemy draws his 27 maps, and these become standard maps for so many centuries. They're still used through the Dark Ages. It's wild how long some of this stuff lasted. In other news, in South America, the oldest Mayan monuments were being built. And in India, we have our first examples of the new language of Sanskrit, which is fascinating. This one's fun. St. Polycarp dies, and he may have been the person who assembled the New Testament, which is wild because Jesus would have died about 120 years ago. So in one sense, we're like, oh, it didn't take that long. In another sense, it's like trying to assemble something from 1900. How reliable is this stuff? So also in terms of satire, great piece, The Golden Ass by Apelles, which is still worth reading. And then you of course have Marcus Aurelius and his Meditations, which is something that still gets read a lot. And the Stoics, and then in Rome, the Year of the Five Emperors, which, as you can imagine, is not a good time to be alive. But in medical history, Galen extracts plant juices as medicine. This is a huge deal because people have been using plants for a long time. They've been putting in alcohol and things like that, but this is a true extract. And this is the reason that Galen is the standard through the Renaissance, through like 1500 or 1600. We're around 200 AD. For the next 1200 years, it's Galen. It's wild. It's not a good thing. He was really forward for his time, but by the 1600s, you should have been experimenting more. It's fascinating, everything about Galen. So, last thing I'll mention is that Clement of Alexandria, canonized by Pope Julius, said something that speaks to me. The way of the truth is therefore one, but into it, as into a perennial river, streams flow from all sides. So there's a little bit about what was happening in 100 AD.